So this is a bit of an odd one, but I got really freaking bored or whatever, so I felt like drawing. And this time I thought I'd go through the process of it. No, I don't have time to properly edit. I should preface that. That's kind of the main reason I'm doing this today. I gotta be quiet because it's really late. Expected to actually have proper time and whatnot for this, but yeah, I definitely do not. Anyway, if you have no clue what I'm doing, I'm putting stars in the sky because I'm going to draw a Pokemon, specifically the one that I like, one of the legendaries that I like the most. And I'm going to talk about stuff while I do that. I'm going to put a lot of stars in the sky. Let's do a lot of stars in the sky. Let's change the color a little bit. Make them look a little bit more pretty. Let's put some pink ones in there. Pow, 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 pew. And I'll put some yellow ones in there. Can't really see too much of a difference with this, but it does look a lot more colorful when you change the star color, even just the slightest. I believe this color might do nice. It's a bit blue, but you know. Anyway, I just wanted to draw today, so I'm going to do Lunala, because I think that they're really freaking cool. Probably won't have enough space to do all the stuff that I want to, but I mean, that's fine. So Lunala's got like a really cool general appearance. I'm not going to do the shiny because the shiny's really freaking hard, but it's just like a big bat. It's a really nice design in my honest opinion. I'm going to try to do lineless, which is not my normal style, I know, but I just think it's better. At least in this particular case. Anyway, I honestly just feel like drawing today. I don't want to play Noita right now. I do want to do stuff in Noita, mind you. I just don't want to do it right now because I'm fairly tired. I've had a long day, and we didn't end up getting to do D&D today. That was my main grievance, I suppose. I mean, the reason for it was fairly simple. It was just scheduling on my part, really, which is unfortunate too, because it's not even the players who got any problematic timing. It was me. Anyway, in relation to the previous episode, for the people who were watching it or weren't actually, basically players are in a situation where they're fighting a large group of enemies. It was like 15. It's a party of 6 people, so it's fairly reasonable at their current level. And they just don't hit a single free attack. It's absurd. Now, obviously, I think this is hilarious, but it's a little bit annoying for me. Because, you know, I kind of actually enjoy it when there's some stakes, but my players are really lucky. So, this is like a consistent thing that occurs too, which I just really like. I mean, not always, but, you know, it's fun sometimes. Anyway, it's really interesting to me that they're so absurdly lucky. So I think I might start keeping a spreadsheet to see if the dice are like actually genuinely weighted, because that is something that might be possible. Incredibly unlikely, by the way, but you know, possible. Anyway, for the sake of this video, like I probably shouldn't drone on for too long while trying to do art, because I'm not good at combining these two things together. It's actually something I really want to do. Is I need to figure out either how to talk about what I want to talk about while focusing on something else, or edit in the actual conversation that I want to have with myself, because that's basically what this is, effectively anyway. Something that I want to say is I am not, legally speaking, a professional artist. I should really do art. I should do MS Paint commissions. I mean, it would be really funny, obviously, but I don't think that's actually a really great idea. So if you couldn't tell, I'm not using a skeleton to draw this, and the reason for that is because I'm too tired to put in genuine, insane amounts of effort into this piece. So instead, what you will be getting is a rough approximation of Lunala's appearance, I guess. It's not easy to describe what I'm kind of going for here, but since the general shape is a sort of warped circle from this position, it's likely that we kind of want to go around more like this, right? Yeah, that looks right. So sort of bend like that. Almost have it. Might even want to make a lower layer for this just to make it easier to color. Here, let's actually start up top, since... Oh yeah, that's much better. Okay, so love this Pokemon. It's one of the two main legendaries from Sun and Moon, which is my favorite Pokemon game because I am a nerd and like Pokemon. The reason it is my favorite Pokemon game is something that is very easy to understand. It was the first one that I played. Now, that might seem surprising, but it is absolutely, completely true. This is the first Pokemon game I ever got my hands on. It was definitely a fun experience for me for the first time getting to actually play a Pokemon game, because beforehand it was just playing with or screwing with the cards and collecting them. I think I only ever really got to play a match with the cards like once, because it's a really convoluted system. And even then it was only with my siblings. But they are genuinely enjoyable if you understand how to use them, which unfortunately not a lot of people do know. But, you know, they're fun. Well, let me rephrase, not enough people do know, which sucks, because again, they're fun. Like a really interesting and fun style of play. Obviously not as fun as some other card games. I think I prefer Magic the Gathering, honestly, despite how completely convoluted it is, not even just in comparison, just like in general. Magic is a very confusing, convoluted system, and I mean, that's expected when they do a number of, what do you call them? Collaborations, I guess is the right term. And Pokemon, owned by Nintendo, definitely does not do a lot of collaboration material. Which, I mean, cool, but, you know, not always. Not always cool to exclude a bunch of potential really interesting content. Now, the reason why Magic has a problem with it is because I have a friend who will bring decks built entirely around some of the promotional stuff, and there's a specific set with a thing called Horsemanship that basically makes the things that you play immune to damage. Effectively immune to damage when not played with the cards from the same event, which, you know, not fun. I mean, it was funny to see everybody get absolutely screwed over by him. It was a comedic event. There was a 0% chance of victory for anybody else, but, you know, it was still funny. We were playing Commander, like 3 decks, and if you don't know what that means, you don't have to. You can look it up if you want to. So it's this sort of crest that they've got. It's a lot smaller than I'm trying to draw it as, but that seems about accurate. Yeah, okay. It's the actual head shape, sort of, I don't know how to get the right color for this. That's like a very deep blue-purple coloration, like this, but darker and much less. And it seems like it's actually just less saturated than that. I don't know how to get that exact coloration. It's purpler. I should use a color picker. Oh well. But yeah, it's the deck was stupid. There was a 0% chance for anybody else to win without having a heavily spell-based deck or other gimmick deck that would be unenjoyable. And since none of us are professional or particularly competitive and or participate in the games very much, like, obviously he ended up winning. It was a little close. It was not in the end close, but it was a little close early on. Certainly was a fun match, though. Oh, that head is too dang small. Or it feels too dang small. It actually isn't. It's not correct shape. Or at least not exactly the correct shape. Which is fine. I mean, I'm not perfect. And I'm always going to be using mouse and cursor when I do MS Paint. That doesn't excuse the negative parts of it, of course. Mouse and cursor doesn't let me be as precise as I'd like it to be when it comes to physical art pieces, but, like, it's still good. It still works. Well, good is a bit of a overstatement, but it works, I think, is the best way to put it. Okay, then we can clonk that in. That is not the color I clicked on. There we go. The problem with paint is that it does has a lot of like bugs and glitches and stuff that don't, or just improperly determines colors. That's the main issue with it. But it doesn't happen enough for it to be too big of an issue, and if you use layers, it's less prominent, so who cares? Me, by the way, I'm the person who cares. There is your answer, folks. And I'm the only one who notices it very much, because I'm one of the, I guess not the only one, but I'm one of the people who notices it a decent amount, just because it's, you know, something that I see happening. Anyway, this overall, like, face mask looking part of their body is more of a grayer coloration, just because of the lighting that's usually cast upon it, which is great, because I can actually do that pretty easily. And their mouth is, I mean, hard to describe, but it kind of just does this. And then they get the typical bat fang thing. And they're always smiling in their images. It's very cute. I like Lunala. It's a very nice design. Honestly, both of the legendaries from Sun and Moon I like a lot, but, you know, that's because I'm freaking hyper-fixated with this series. Well, does it start more here? No, it really doesn't. They have, I don't think it's really called an overbite, but, like, they have this. There we go. That looks better. Okay, and then for this, it's actually really cool what this has. So this part's usually, sort of differently shadow casted than the rest, but it has sort of a huge circle taken out of it. And I don't think I can effectively express that without hiding some of it behind the head. So let's do that. There we go. Yes, this requires intense focus. For slimmer details, I do have to shrink the brush. I know, crazy. Not something that I usually do, but because I'm trying to be more precise and actually make this look decent, I'm gonna. Anyway. Cool stories, whatever. So I think I might as well talk about my D&D campaign at this point, because it's something else that I wanted to think about a little bit more right now. And I might need to write some stuff down for it and whatnot, but it should be easy and fine and whatever. Why is this part? There we go. They have a nose. I actually can't tell. Does Lunala have a nose? They're depicted as having no nose in most of the cards, but I don't know if that's... No, it's just weird shading on the face. It's meant to look like waypointed. Okay, cool. Their wings don't usually have stars in them, which is something that I think would have made the original design look maybe a little bit cooler, but like they still look really interesting. So they don't actually have a nose. I know, crazy. But They do have sort of an angular, like, facial appearance, as far as I can tell with the cards that have more detailed art. Yeah, I'm using references. I know, it's crazy. I'd never done that before. Bring up that brightness slightly so that this area is dimmer. That's not dark enough. You know, that actually doesn't look too bad. I'll stick with that for now. Might be better to crank out like this instead of what I had going previously. Oh, that's way better. Heck yeah. Anyway, so going along with the campaign thing, I really can't focus on two things at once. I'm sorry. I'm trying to draw this freaking space bat that I really like the appearance of. What darkness am I going to be doing this part? I guess we just yoink this for now. So, the problem with this part is I don't know if I want to do the wings so that they're... I mean, there's this thing, right? This is easy to do. But do I want to have it be like... Oh, gosh. This isn't exactly what it is. I'm actually skeletoning it right now because I genuinely don't know how I want to do this. Do I want it to be in this general position, or do I want to have its wings like more pointed backwards? Because if I do more backward, you'd get to see more of this wing, and this wing would be hidden, but I'm not really, like... well, the only way to know is to try it. Let's go with this. So, this would be attached to sort of a... I'm going to just start describing Lunala while I do this, because I literally need to. It sort of looks more like this. Yeah, that looks alright. It's a really awesome design. This is actually thinner than I'm doing it, which, you know, sucks for me, but there we go. That's a lot better. That should be right. Yeah. There we are. Almost Control Z, that would have been fine anyway, because you can undo undos, fun fact, with Control Shift Z. Not in Paint, though. Control Shift Z does not undo undos. Very interesting to me. As you can see, you have to press this little redo button. This undo tells you exactly what it does. Redo here is Control Y for some reason. Let's see. So at the point where this connects, there's sort of a upward pointed claw. I guess it's supposed to be more like the thumb of an actual bat. The overall height of it's around that of the head, so it would be more like this. Ish. I think that's... No, actually, it's a thinner thing, so even though it does this, it still retracts back like that. And I realized I started it in the wrong position. That's fine, though. I have an eraser. I really should be using it more. Because I get the first line perfect here. I really should have just made this 2 lines instead of 1, but I'm trying to get better at following through with single lines. And that is simply not an easy task for me. It looks like these are sort of the same part of the limb. So you'd probably end up seeing it sort of do this. Oops, hold on. So it's that. Sort of this into a curved section. Well, no, it actually just goes straight like that. Almost straight like that, exactly. Nicely done, Mr. Context. You did something correctly here. And then at this part where it sort of intersects with the back of the wing, it tilts up like very significantly. I'm basically just describing how to draw Lunala at this point. Which, to be fair, makes sense for me because that's something that I would do. Then there's two claws, which sort of go... Well, first I should do this thing. Actually, it's likely it would point more in this direction. Just because of the... No, actually, it would point in this direction because the bend is this way. At least, I think that's right if I'm getting my understanding of this silly goober correct. So it does this, and then there's these pointed, much thinner spikes that sort of, well, not exactly there, but let me try and get this perfectly right. So when it goes to about here-ish, actually, get these pointed little spikes that are like, it's just a really cool design. I'm sorry, I know you'll probably don't care as much as I do, but this rambling is basically just background noise for people at this point, since that's essentially what I do. I'm the background noise man. Boy, is it fun. I get to just talk. I should just talk about stupid crap more often. I think that's fun. Why don't I just talk about stupid stuff more often? Well, I mean, I do, generally. I say stupid. It's not super stupid all the time. Sometimes it's genuine philosophical just attempts at understanding certain things, but usually it's not that interesting. Let's do that for those claws, and that wing should be pretty much done at this point. For the other one, I'm thinking I do pretty much the same. Problem is actually pointing it correctly is absurdly difficult from here. So I'm realizing this arm is way too thick. But something I can do is because all of this one's going to be in the other layer, I'm just going to do it there. I know, right? So smart of me. So to make this one like very clearly pointed, it's basically just going to look like that. I think that should be right. As long as I'm doing this the way that I want to be. Oh, you know what? Actually, these... So this is more of a... Like this... It's like a triangular, almost, sector at the center that connects to the wings. I know I'm not doing this justice, but it is really, really cool to me. Here, I can even hide this to help with the overarching... Are overarching and overarching the same, or do they have, like, different meanings? I know this is, like, something completely unrelated, but are those the same word pronounced differently? Because overarching and overarching seem like they have the exact same, like, general purpose. If you know what I mean, like, the overarching story, the overarching story. Those are both... just like, I mean, that means the same thing, right? That's what I'm trying to get at. Is that really, like, are they really the same word? Do they have the same meaning, or is there, what's the general difference behind them? Is anybody, any etymologists or whatever in the chat? I say chat, this is a video context. What are you freaking talking about? Seriously, though, is that, like, correct? Or have, it has to be, right? That just makes more sense. Okay, we want this to actually go like, more like here. Okay. But on a very serious note, are those really the same word or different? I could look it up, but I'm not going to because it gives me more, makes me feel better when people answer the questions in the comments, and then I get like an oh moment out of it. It's really interesting to that. It's more interesting that way, I think. Yeah, I'm starting to realize I messed this up. We would really only see like this. There we go. That looks far better. Except it's actually like that. Like that. Yes. And then like this. So this one actually is a little bit bigger than that, but who cares? Totally not me, the guy making the entire art piece in the first place. Really calling this an art piece, even though it's more of just a drawing. I suppose you could call anything an art piece, though. Solely dependent entirely on whether or not you want to consider something more interesting. Of course, I guess that's just assigning value or purpose or whatever to a single thing. I'm going to redo this entirely. I need to get really good at perspective drawing. I know it's not something that you... I mean, like that's just a generic statement, obviously, but something that I need to practice a lot more. I want to get better at it or whatever. Blah, blah, blah. You get the feeling from me, I guess. There we go. And we can actually erase a little bit of this. There we are. Yeah, this looks more like a hug pose than anything, to be honest. Ready to hug somebody. To be fair, Lunala always looks like they could hug somebody pretty effectively, or deadly, actually. I'm just droning on about it. I like the design too much. So let's get this proper and right and whatever. Oh, that's meant to be the elbow. Okay, I understand now. Jeez. Took that long for me to figure this out. So once this reaches a certain point, right? Right around here-ish, it hits sort of an like this. But this spike is literally, like, very clearly probably intended to be sort of elbow of sorts, which then leads into the actual grabby hand. And I'm starting to realize that a bit late, if you couldn't tell here. So what I do now is go back and retroactively fix this. Perspective of the thing that I was using was entirely wrong for what I'm trying to do. So even though the elbow eventually converges on that point, it sort of pokes out more like this. That's far better. And I should note, really should not be bent in a way that would be incorrect, I think. Make sure not to do that all in one stroke so that you don't accidentally lose a huge amount of progress just through sheer stupidity. Something that I myself have been practicing. Not losing stuff through stupidity, mind you. Just not doing that. Okay. Great. And I accidentally added a layer. We're going to hide that again. So when it converges, the sort of spiky bit here is what I'm looking at right now. This is sort of its wrist, or it's where its hand begins. And the elbow ends. There's actually 4 spikes here. But something that I don't think I'm realizing very well is that, no, I'm right. I'm not realizing anything. I'm actually correct for once. Who would have thought context being unintentionally getting the right answer? That's preposterous. And then it's a very kind of shape. Oops. I really don't know how to describe this part, but it sort of just has this turn into a single line attached to a really, really beautiful gold crescent thing. And then you would have, or I guess Lunala's sort of designed to be the female one. I'm going to talk about Pokemon lore now. I know, crazy. Technically, it's dependent on the universe that it evolves in, but from what we know lore-wise, Lunala and Solgaleo are meant to be female and male. And the only reason I know this is because I am a neurotic. I don't know what the right word would be for this, but crazy little goober who did a bunch of stupid research because he was hyperfixated on Pokemon for a little while, and still is, but not as much. So now I know that this one is intended to be on as the feminine one because it uses some weird statements hidden inside of the game somewhere that I always forget the exact initial origination of, to make it appear as such. Now, obviously, I believe it's more so the fact that people mention it online and talk about it more, which might be the reason why it's characterized as such. But I like to believe that that's actually just canonical for some reason. Anyway, so there's sort of this enormous... This wing is pretty huge, right? But it's more like it should... Like, because it does this type of thing? Oh, I curved it wrong, didn't I? Some of it's behind the head. Ah, whatever. It looks more like they're about to slash you. That's fine with me. So with this bit, it curves down and around. What I could do to fix this a little bit is to change the overall direction that this is heading by spamming Control Z. And by that, I mean I'm not going to do that because I realize that it erases a part that I really want to not erase right now. What I can do instead, crank up this, erase this, crank it down, and then just like do that, which is actually more accurate to the proper like body shape of this thing anyway, so more correct. Hooray. It also means less drawing on this part, which is incredibly difficult for me because I just don't straight up know how to do crescents. Should probably be somewhere more like that, just to get the positioning correct. And then... Oh, these are meant to be the bone connector. I see. Yeah, but anyway, it shouldn't curve that far down anyway, just because the way that this seems to be shaped. So it should go more like this. And then the body actually here should be connected like that. I think. Well, this goes far lower than it really makes some reasonable amount of sense to me for it to, but that is because I did not make the Pokemon. Okay, great. That's way too thick, but I don't really think it matters that much. Okay, to get this to be as accurate as I want it to be, I kind of have to do sort of like something like, you know, like this, question mark. Yeah, okay, and then the rest sort of tapers off from here and should connect to the overall body, which I might add sort of does its own wing like that. Well, not really. It's so confusing to me. I'm doing it wrong again. So there's a thingy here that it connects to? Wait a minute, that's not right at all. Holy crap. I made this go down way too low, actually. That's good to know. Glad I noticed that before it was too late. Should go more like this. I know, it's way higher up than I thought it would be. That's because I wasn't looking at the perspective close enough. Crazy mistake, I know, but to be expected. And this goes like that, and connects to a little star, little shape that I really like the appearance of. Because, of course I do. I mean, it really shouldn't even get this far. Holy crap. Like, this goes way higher up than I initially thought it did. That's awesome and fine, because it means I have to draw less. No, I'm kidding. I really kind of wish I drew more for this. I just think it looks nice. Now, obviously, this recording is just me rambling about random crap for half an hour or whatever. This might even be 40 minutes. I really don't know how long this is going to be. But I'm certainly enjoying it, and that's sort of the point of this channel entirely. So I think I'm doing this correctly. It's a really pretty star shape. It's actually, I did the complete opposite way that it works. Because it's so distant, it's kind of rough for me to figure out how I want to do this. I mean, I'm going to, no matter what, obviously, because I'm the deranged psychopath who runs this channel in the first place. Meaning that I have absurd amounts of persistence and lack of self-control when it comes to doing stupid crap. Should be like this. And that. Okay, great. That almost looks not half decent. Or not half bad, whatever, who cares. So the elbow itself, at this point, would sort of be connected like... Well, you'd think it'd be like this, but it actually isn't. The way it's connected is weird to me and makes me realize that I probably did this too close together. Which means... Freeform selection box. Boop. Cool. And then you just do one of these, which makes this look almost exactly the way I needed it to, actually. And then sort of... Well, no, because it actually... Okay, so it kind of does this almost. And then we'll have it follow this part of the body, because this technically isn't the front of the guy. No, it is. It should be... I did that wrong again. It really should sort of connect like here-ish. And then I can just like do a little bit of looping, make it thinner at the end. Okay, great. And now I get to do this part, which is really fun, and fill everything in. So on this layer, and this is near the end of the coloring phase, which shouldn't take as much brain power, but I gotta say, I love drawing this silly little bat. And I say little, this thing's like 9 feet tall, 12? No, it's 13 because of the friggin' wings. The actual body's probably more like 8 or 9. Actually, no, maybe even 10. Wings out a lot. I really can't tell the exact height, but this thing is absolutely friggin' enormous. I love the eyes as well. They're more of a pinker, red, lighter pink, reddish coloration, but they're really, really pretty. And I love them because they look so cool. They've got a little like this shape. They got this shape. They are literally a rhombus. Or, no, rhombus is the right word. They have slight tilt to them, but because we are already drawing a tilted face, that is correct. They are very angular, which, again, makes them look cool. And then they have this little spiky bit on the top that I just think looks awesome. I like red-colored eyes. I think you can tell based on the character who entirely represents this channel. But, like, I like red eyes. They're awesome and interesting to me. This is a little bit too pink, to be correct. but it will make a great shader for the eye colors. Because they have these really nice little highlights. They aren't little. They're just highlights. Sorry, I like this way too much. I love drawing. I think this is probably the quietest and most calm that I've ever been in a video. Which is great. I'm gonna look at some more references for the eyeballs to see what else they look like. Okay, the eyes actually have a hole in the center of the, what do you call it? Pupil? Which is really cool. It's a very, very, very pale, bright red coloration. Rose is probably the best way to describe it as this thing is saying. But it is, their eye is literally this. My throat is dry from talking and lacking water. That is literally what their eye looks like. It's adorable. It makes this thing have just the right amount of goofy cuteness to be like an actual Pokemon. Now, I don't think I haven't talked about how much I love the Pokemon games, or loved. I don't think I love the current ones as much, just because like some of them are not as so good. But I liked Scarlet Violet for the shiny hunting like boosts that they granted. Obviously, I don't think there's enough highlight in this actual eyeball here, but I'm going to add some more for that. Hold on, let me look at these eyes again. Wow, it's pretty. The head looks like glass with with like a bunch of juice, space cosmos juice inside of it. It's really cool. And the actual head thing is gold, which, I mean, I can make look way better. I might do a different video making this entire thing fully shaded and whatnot later, but I think I'm just going to do normal coloration for now. Let's see. I noticed that I kind of want to do this eye here, but it's really hard to. Just perspective-wise, it doesn't look like there's enough room for it, almost. But then again, there probably is, because the perspective is weird. So if I just do this in just the right way, and add just the right modifications to it, I might be able to just barely squeeze in the fact that they are looking straight at you. Well, at least that's what I'm going for. How do I get this to work? This is my problem. I can't do eyes. Well, that's not true. My problem is that I'm not skilled enough to do everything that I want to, the exact way I want it to be done. There we go. That's a little bit better. Actually, I should just make this eye thinner. That would work great. There we go. It's a little bit better. I think I can fix this eye, possibly, just to make it look like they're looking more this way. Here, let me clean this up. I know you guys probably don't care about me trying to do art, but I think it's interesting for me to like look at my own progress as it develops through freaking MS Paint. So this eye is looking almost straight forward. To get this eye to do the same, I would kind of need to place it right here. Okay, that looks good. Right. And then we round it out a little bit more because it's very oval shape. There we go. Okay, and then I want to round this one out a little bit. Yeah, no, that should be fine. I know I'm focusing on little things right now, but that's like just what I need to do. So let's look at the shading on this. Is it angular? No, this is more of a round, soft shading. That's nice. I know how to do that. So this front part will probably be darker, not lighter. Let me just steal the coloration and go. Shoop. Whoop-de-doop. There we go. Okay. What did I not cover? Oh. I figured out what I didn't cover. Whoopsie daisies. Let me just do that real quick. See what I... Perfect, almost. Okay, great. And then we do this and that. That almost looks really good. Oh, man. Then we make this side have almost just the darker tint, actually. Let me hide this. Hold on, let me yoink the face shine, because that's probably the most accurate. And just kind of do this. Because for now, we just want it to be all one color for the most part. Just to make it easier on me for now. Maybe add some shading in the hand department. Make that little claw darker than the other. The back claw, that is. There we go. It's hard to see that, but I think that works right. Okay, yeah, that actually almost gets the effect that I'm going for. And then we want to kind of, on this part, obviously not that part, do more of that shape on the chest. I say chest, I'm really not sure what you would call this, so I'm just going to stick with that. This is coming together a lot nicer than I thought it would, to be honest. If y'all want, I can stream just drawing this. Okay, yeah, actually, that's really nice. I really should do an MS Paint drawing stream just to get better with it, because this doesn't look bad. This part does not feel right just because of the way that it doesn't connect. This is the wrong layer. So, anyway, if y'all don't know, as I said, I like the Pokemon games a lot. What's important is that this particular one, or more accurately, Ultra Sun, the better version of Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, whatever you want to call it, has a really cool section near the end of the story where they have a giant, and I say giant, a fairly large, like, animation of one of the major final interactions that I just think is really cool. And it's when, what do they call it? It's when Lunala and, or Lunala or Solgaleo, depending on which game you have, fights against, essentially Necrozma, the really cool, the big bad, essentially. And it's a really interesting and fun and interaction part. What I like most about it is the fact that it's, like, fully animated. Like, it's a whole cutscene that you see where the two fight each other. And it's done really well. I like it a lot for the reason that it's an entire Pokemon battle animated inside of one of the games. Wow, that's crazy. You don't see that very often. But I also like it that it's high effort, which is not something that you get to see enough of with the newer Pokemon games, just because even though the devs have the heart and the desire to put that type of stuff in the game, they can't because of time constraints, and it looks like they're doing that with some of the newer games, which I'm really excited for. So, this is the right color, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Anyway, that's just one of the main reasons why I love that game so much. Because it has such a cool interaction or scene in it. That's just not right, straight up. This literally goes like this. If you don't know, they have a giant moon type thing on their chest to midsection, I guess. And it just looks really cool to me. And I want to capture that appearance. This thingy is awesome. And then on this layer, it kind of just is going to go and be visible like this. We'll do single pixel shading here. And by shading, I of course mean lying about that and actually just doing single pixels of a regular freaking color. All right, grab that, throw it there. Misclick again and again and again. That almost looks really, really nice with this part, but I think it needs to go up a little bit more just to be a bit more accurate towards that area. Remember that you are not drawing all in one layer like you normally do. Okay, that actually almost looks great. Obviously the shading's a bit off and could be better, and I haven't added the stars in the head yet, but I mean, like, it's pretty nice, so, you know. As for the head, it sort of has this glassy, reflective appearance to it, which looks more like this, except we want to take this, greatly increase its brightness, and do that. Give it some sheen over here as well, since the colors are reflective. Probably darken this part, just to prove that it's more glass-like than anything. That feels right to me. Massively crank down this, and just, like, grab some of the background star colors, and, single click blank them. No, I'm not going to be able to do that, am I? Okay, I have a much better idea. So, let's just duplicate layer, freeform selection, this general area. I did that wrong. Let's do it again. Freeform this. Okay, you don't right-click it, Mr. Context. Then we want to invert selection, Control X. Doesn't look like it did anything, but I promise you it absolutely did. Black out all of this. Literally everything. Except for the parts that I want to be covered with stars. And we're going to end up copy pasting this, obviously, after we erase all the black parts using a right-click strap. Take this, crank it all the way up to the max. Stars. Booyah. 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 This is literally the method of using masking tape, by the way. So then we want to take this, and we can't erase mask selections like you normally can. So what we're going to do is white coloration. The entire freaking thing. And then I'm just gonna figure out how I can delete all of this at once except for the part that I need. And that is to freeform selection around this. That looks almost as good as I want it to be. I can change it in a second. Invert selection, Control X. Then what we want to do is we want to take our eraser and just like start doing the more precise bits first. You know, I just had a much greater epiphany, and that would just be to erase all of this, make a background thing around it, and like set that to be filled with color, but that would have been like way easier, so you know. Wait a minute, that might actually be way easier still. Let me think about it for a minute. Can I select all of a color? Is that something that this lets me do? No. Okay. What did it just do? Just added a drop shadow to this thing? Okay. Is there a way I can just, like, delete? I wish this had a, like, remove ability with the fill. Like, obviously you can't. Oh, did that do anything for you? I don't think that did anything with the actual recording. You know what I'm gonna do? Instead of all of that, if I just, move this all the way down here, hide these, do the airbrush thing. Take these, and then just like, I don't know, man, this is really confusing. I should just individually add stars. This is way more convoluted, but I feel like I'm too committed. Okay, cool. And then by re-adding these, obviously you can't see it, but what I can do is just not do it on that layer, but what if I just like select individually the eyes? Well, not like that. Can I select this and this, or is that not allowed? That's not allowed. Frick, okay. That's fine then. Select the eye. Realize your mistake. There's no good way of going about this, is there? That's unfortunate. I mean, I guess I could just, like, do this type of thing. But that's boring and difficult and convoluted and not easy at all. And that would simply take an extended period of time that I'm not willing to, spend on this. So I'm just going to do, like, some of it. Oops. Random hole in reality itself. Wait, why? Because of this. But that adds black space in the back that I do not need or want. So what I'm gonna do instead is just yeah, I'm gonna do that anyway. Actually, I'm just gonna do that anyway. No, I'm not. We're going to just freeform select some of these spaces. It's not gonna matter since I'm gonna have to close this up. Okay, you know what? Stop being stupid. Stop doing this context. You literally can just one pixel. Select the color that you want, whether it be this. Stop being on this layer, you idiot. That is the background layer context, you dumbhead. Switch to the proper layer. Remember that some of the stars in this sky are actually larger than others with Lunala's head, and therefore reflect and refract differently. Don't care and do that later. Alright, cool. This is the finished piece for now. I'll probably come back to it later because I'm tired and I can't draw anymore right now. This was a really fun one. I don't usually draw for videos because it's boring to most people, but yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. I'll probably try and do a better shaded version eventually and maybe post that one on the Discord, but I just think this was a fun experience. Anyway, this is your giant, massive, pointless video waste of time that you get every single day. I realize now that I missed a single part, I think. I'm glad I noticed it just now. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Like, this is, like, you really don't have to, but it makes me feel good. And it forces me to practice my art skills, which is something that I'm really glad for. Getting better at color theory is also something that I need to get better at, which, I'm doing that. Anyway, like I said, thanks for watching. And as I always say, most importantly, have a nice day. Okay, bye.